You're watching Fandom at Night from Nerd Alert News. Please welcome our special guest, Joshua Schubart.
Hello.
Hi, how are you today?
Hey, Melissa, how are you today?
Good, good. Thanks so much for coming on and agreeing to talk with us for a little bit.
The Tick was one of the best experiences of my life. I've been a huge fan of The Tick since I was a kid, like a huge, huge fan. I first met The Tick when I watched the animated series when I was a kid, and I always felt like I was like this weird person that never had a place in this world. And then I watched this show where everyone was weird and everything was crazy, but everyone loved each other and there was incredible hope. And it made me feel like I finally had a place in the world. And then I went out, read all the comic books, and just fell in love with it. And when I auditioned for it, I didn't know what it was till I walked in the room and they were like, "Oh, yeah, this is the Tick. Do you know it? It's like a blue guy." And I was like, "Oh, no." And I pretend that I didn't know what can I use profanity on this? All right, cool. So and I had to pretend that I didn't know what the fuck it was. So then I had my audition and it went really well. And then I went back into the elevator and I just wept the entire way down because I was so happy and I was like, oh my God, like this is such a huge moment in my career, in my life. Even if I don't get it, this was great. Then I got it. And it was incredible. And I was able to meet Ben Edlund, who created the the whole thing. And he's always been like one of my heroes. And they always say to never meet them. He is incredible. Like he's a beautiful man and I love him so much. And yeah, I loved being on the show. And just one more thing about it. I was so happy that now I'm part of this new um, generation of the Tick. And I've heard from people that love the show that we've had the impact on them that the old show had on me. So it's like this whole circle. I'm getting like, but it's such an amazing thing to be part of that. Yeah, so I did all my own for that, and it's so I thought that I was going to be doing nothing but touring regional Shakespeare for my entire career. So when I was in acting school, I also learned how to do all of that stuff at the same time because that's what you kind of have to learn how to do if
Mhm.
that's what you want to be doing. Um, and then it just was like a happy accident that it was able to be applied to my TV and film work as well. So I was able to do all of my own work on that show on the Tick, and it was so much fun. And my webcam's freaking out, and I'm sorry. I'm an actor that also does my own does that kind of stuff. I'm not like I don't do crazy high falls. I don't cover myself in fire. Like those professionals are like the most incredible people that I've ever watched. Like in the Tick season 2, there was a awesome guy in the um Lobstercules costume and he couldn't see out of his eye holes. And there's a crazy scene where he's like hopping from like car to car and they're moving and they're on like a highway. Like
Oh
I
my
can't do
gosh.
that. That's crazy. It's amazing, but um I'll happily do like hand-to-hand combat and like fall down and like get hit by cars and things, but that stuff is wow, like it's so incredible. I mean, it would be interesting, but like everything that like Tom Cruise does, I mean, more power to that dude. Like him like holding onto airplanes and shit is madness, but I don't know. That's not for me. Yeah, so I found acting when I was 14. I had just come off the streets and into foster care, and I didn't really know what the hell was going on with me or my life. I was like hanging out with the wrong folks and in like classic after school special fashion, and I was doing lots of drugs, and just everything was taking a wrong turn. And for whatever reason, I heard and my foster parents put me in Catholic school when I got into the house. So that was like a crazy, like totally different world. And then I heard that they were going to hold auditions for the school play. And at the time, I had such a bad trauma-induced speech impediment, like a terrible stutter. And I could only speak like 2 to 3 words and like at a time, and that's it. I couldn't even speak to anybody. But for whatever reason, I was like, let me go try out for this play. And then I did, and when I got up on stage, I could speak in complete sentences for the first time since I was like 5 or 6 years old. It changed my life. It saved my life. It gave me a purpose, and it made me extremely focused and extremely driven. And I fell in love with the theater because of how it healed me, right? And that's what I wanted to do forever. And doing TV and film was kind of an accident. It was kind of an experiment. I mean, I do work a lot at the Metropolitan Opera still. I love working there. I'm an actor there, and I do hand-to-hand combat and sword fighting work there as well. So that's fun. Great fun. I think it's just different, right? Like the immediate audience, like when you can feel the audience, and especially with like a play, the audience is like its own character in the show too. Like if you're ignoring them totally, then you're not taking in all the energy, and you're not like being a part of the world that you're actually in. Whereas when it's you and the camera, yeah, there's like other people, and you don't get that immediate like, okay, there's people, and here's their energy, and I'm using that. You have to kind of imagine that all the people are going to be behind this lens, and I need to like tap into them before they're even there, if that makes sense. Like you've got to kind of like manufacture, or like tap into the ether and like pull it all into you, so that you can give to them what they need through your performance. So that's how I would say it's kind of different in that way. I mean, it's obviously different, but
Yeah.
that's how I handle it as like an actor's process. We're coming out of it now. Broadway and the Metropolitan Opera are looking to open up in September, heading back into rehearsals now. You can buy tickets. It's a much happier time moving forward. It's been a devastating year and a half for the whole artist community all over the place. And I know a lot of people had to leave and move back home where they came from, just because there weren't any jobs, period. Like there was nowhere for anybody to work really, and anything that was available was very limited. So many people, unfortunately, many talented people will never come back because they had to create a new life for themselves and their families. Like there's a lot of folks that have families and that's how they were paying for everything, because they could. Because being an actor in New York, you can pay your bills and have a great life. And that's what, to me and to most people in our crazy industry, that's what making it is, because that's what making it actually means. It's, can you pay for your life with your art? And if you can, then you made it. That's what I did for me for the pandemic. That was my pivot. So for the first couple of months, I was going out of my goddamn mind because I didn't, have anything to do. I didn't have any way to act or anything. So, and it was a thing that I was like, maybe one day I'll do some voiceover stuff. Well, now I'm doing voiceover stuff. And it's new and cool, and I'm doing a lot of audiobooks now, which is a world that I never thought that I would do, and it was honestly pretty scary, because even though I'm an actor and I'm in all this stuff, the idea of having an entire person's book in my hands and playing every role, half of them being women, and also being the narrator, I was like, oh my fucking God, like, how am I gonna play all these people and
Yeah.
make it entertaining and do all this shit? But then I just started trying it, and it turns out that it's a lot of fun. And if you like romance novels, that's my niche, apparently, because of my voice. So you can listen to those.
Bio said those are all on Amazon, you know, where people can go and listen to them and stuff like that.
Which is cool. And I've got a so I work for this company called Butter Dragons now. They're a publishing company, and I have a amazing narration partner named MJ Webb, and she is so talented and incredible. And so we handle every book as like a narration duo now, and it's changed the way that I view doing audiobooks, because now I get to act with somebody, and we have like creative meetings, and we speak about all the characters, and we try and, you know, you're not next to each other all the time, because I'm here in New York and she lives in Michigan. But the more that you work with a person, the more you kind of like, this is how I think MJ would play this role, and if it crosses over in multiple chapters, then you get a cohesive, cool, interesting thing that's not exactly the same, but, you know, in the same world. So that's fun. Sure. So After is about a guy who quite recently, about a year ago, lost his wife. She passed away, and he has to move back home with his parents, and he's not doing very well. He's he's in an extremely bad way. And through the help of his family and friends, he tries to get back out there in the world and go on dates and, you know, just try to be a human being again. The idea actually came to me on my wedding day in 2013. I had just said I do, and I was literally holding my new wife's hand, and I thought, like, what the fuck would I do if you died? Not in a crazy weird way, but in a, when you get married, you can talk about it, about like getting married and what that would mean. But when you actually do it, when you actually make that vow to a person, it becomes so fucking real, like for the first time. And you don't realize how much more important this person becomes in your life. And then how weird that would be if they were just suddenly taken from it. And my wife's alive, but the thought of that was like, what the fuck is this? And why is it in my head? So I eventually, a couple of years later, I was like, I got to put this on paper. And so also I wanted to take that idea and then also show the journey of a man or just a person handling like deep, hard mental illness, and coming through that and coming out the other side, not perfect, because but okay, but and better. I have a long history with my own mental illness, and mental illness is largely the reason that I became homeless and ended up in foster care because of my parents. So it's a huge thing for me, and a huge thing that I advocate for. And also in men too. Men don't speak about the way that they feel, and it causes really bad shit to happen. Maybe not like awful, crazy, violent stuff, but it can. But it just makes lives not as great. So I wanted to show a large man with a beard, me, um, going through this type of pain and emotional journey, and it not being weird and not being crazy. It you know, like, because there's this terrible fucking terrible fucking stigma about anyone not being okay. And I just wanted to be like, oh, it's okay to not be okay. And this is how you can work through it. And this is a person moving through it. And yeah, I'm really happy that they did. And it means a lot to me that they did, because that's why you make stuff, right? Is so that people can have that. Yeah. It feels good. So not for everything. But I do have a new one that I just did a great reading for yesterday, that I've put in some things about me being homeless, and about when I worked overnights at a gas station and how that made me like a crazy person. Um, but my whole thing is, I didn't have anybody that I could really see that was like me when I was a kid or when I was a teen. Um, there was no one with my story, right? There was nobody telling those types of things in a way that wasn't negative or had, you know. So I try and include something like that, so that if there's a person like me, or if there's a kid like me that had a hard time, they can see themselves. Or if they're big, I'm big, dude, you know. And most of the time, what I do is like, it's really really funny, or I'm really really bad, or I'm bad but I'm also funny. And large people are often oafish and made fun of, and that's not who we are. We're not that. So if I can write some of my personal experience into a thing that'll be made, and other larger folks can see it and feel normalized, then fuck, that's what I want to do.
Now
Yeah,
on After, you had a really great cast for the show.
I did.
And
Yeah.
I recognize some, like I recognize Brian Michael Smith from the 911 Lone Star, and then Clyde, who, you know, was in so many wonderful shows over the years. But when you were writing it, did you have certain people in mind to play those parts, or did they just like come in and kill the audition?
I did. So I actually wrote for that for all of those actors in the show. So I know them all, and they're fantastic, and I love them very much. And at the time, like, Brian Michael wasn't playing roles that he really wanted to. He is now. I'm so goddamn happy for him. He's killing it, and I'm so proud. Um, but um, I that's how I tend to write these types of pieces, the ones that are um, really really personal, or just in general, like, even if I don't have an actor yet, if one comes in that I really love, then I'll change the role to be more like them, because it makes it just a better, more personalized performance when you feel like, oh, this is me. Because, you know, who doesn't want that, and who doesn't want to see that happen? So
Right.
yeah, I wrote for everybody, and I was like, hey, I wrote these roles for you. We're gonna pay you money. Do you want to come and do them? And everyone said yes but one. So we, not because they didn't want to, but because they had a conflict.
Right.
So we had to audition one role, and then I wrote the role more like the person that we ultimately cast. So, um, and it's an embarrassment of riches, Melissa. Like, the entire cast is just so beautiful and so in the moment, and just gave their all to this thing. And I I'm just so happy, and I can't be more appreciative and grateful.
Right now, it's all available on the IFT network. Is that right?
That is correct. Yeah, you can watch it on your computer, or there's apps that you can get on your phone, and that's where they are right now. I know that they're moving towards the next couple of months to be on, like, Amazon Fire and Roku and things. So that'll be soon, but now you can watch it any other way that you can. Well, I've got a new audiobook trilogy coming out in the next couple of weeks, and I'm working on a new one now, actually. So I will have tons of audiobooks coming throughout the year for the rest of the year. There is some acting work that I have coming up that I'm not allowed to talk about yet. So there is something coming. So you'll see it, me talk about it soon, but I can't say right now. And and then hopefully we can get my new movie called We Got What You Need made soon. That was the one that I had a reading for yesterday. So there's a lot of irons in the fire, and I'm sorry that I can't talk about the one, but that's what's happening.
No, it's okay. That's amazing and something to look forward to. So and once you can, you'll put that on your social, I'm sure.
Yep.
It'll kind of be everywhere so fans can find out about it. But Joshua, it has been such a pleasure talking with you today, and thank you so much for coming on and answering questions.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to click the like and subscribe buttons below. And you can follow Joshua on Insta and Twitter at Josh_Schubart. Be sure and check out After on IFT Network, and we'll see